The mind-blowing truth about the first humans, what archaeologists refuse to talk about. Soft background music fades in, low hum of ancient winds, heartbeat drums echoing through time. Narrator gentle, curious tone. Have you ever wondered what truly came before us? Before pyramids, before written words, before even the idea of civilization itself? What if the first humans were not what we think, not primitive, not simple, but something far more mysterious? Archaeologists have unearthed clues of bones, tools, carvings, and artifacts that defy logic. Some are millions of years older than they should be, some look as though they were made by hands that understood the stars. But the deeper they dig, the quieter the official explanations become. Tonight, we'll journey back, past the history books, beyond science, into the fog of forgotten ages to uncover the truth about the first humans. The story you're about to hear isn't myth. It's what history chose to forget. Pause, and if you love exploring the hidden side of human origins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so more people can awaken to the mysteries we're about to reveal. Echoes before time, the hidden dawn of humanity. Narrator gentle, curious tone. Before cities, before kings, before even the word human had meaning, there was silence, a silence broken only by wind, water, and the pulse of the earth itself. But somewhere within that silence, something stirred, a spark, a consciousness that would one day look up at the stars and ask, "Who am I?" We call them the first humans, but the truth? They weren't the first at all. What if, before us, before Homo sapiens, there had been others? Beings who walked the same soil, saw the same sky, and perhaps left behind traces we've long mistaken for nature itself. Pause, let us go back, not thousands, but millions of years. Back to a world where the continents were wild and alive, where titanic volcanoes shaped the sky, where forests grew thicker than imagination, and where the earth itself seemed to dream. Section E: The forgotten world beneath our feet. When archaeologists dig, they expect bones, stone tools, and fossils. But sometimes, they find things that don't belong: metallic spheres, shaped stones, even carved objects buried billions of years deep in geological layers. Most are dismissed as anomalies, artifacts, natural coincidences. But what if they aren't? Imagine a perfectly round metal sphere discovered in South Africa, dated to almost 7 billion years old, found inside a solid rock formation. Or footprints, fossilized in layers of stone older than the dinosaurs. If these are real, and some scientists quietly admit they might be, it means that someone or something walked the earth long before history began. Is it possible that our understanding of time is incomplete? Soft echo of heartbeat drum, cinematic pause. Even modern discoveries challenge the old story. We once believed Homo sapiens appeared around Ishli years ago, but fossil evidence now whispers another tale. There were other humans, a Homo naledi, Homo floresiensis, Denisovans, each intelligent, each unique, and each lost. Yet, how many more remain undiscovered, erased by time and silence? Section I: The awakening of thought. Picture this: a group of early humans huddled by firelight. Not a word spoken, yet a spark of meaning passes between them, a gesture, a look, a shared dream. Language hadn't yet been invented, but communication had begun, and in that moment, perhaps, the first idea was born. It's astonishing to think that this flicker of thought, this first whisper of imagination, would lead to everything we know today: art, science, religion, stories. But what inspired it? Some anthropologists suggest it was survival, others say it was the environment, or even mushrooms, or plants that expanded human consciousness. But ancient myths tell us something else: that this spark came from the gods or visitors from the heavens who breathed knowledge into humankind. Could it be that myth is memory? That the stories passed down through generations, the Vedas, the Apanayara, the Sumerian tablets, are fragments of a time when early humans didn't just evolve. They remembered something greater. Section C: The age of giants and shadows. Around the world, ancient cultures tell eerily similar stories. That there was once a race of giants, tall, wise beings who shaped the world before humans took their place. In the Apanayara records of early Asia, they were called the sky beings. In the Vedas, they were the Devas, divine but imperfect. In Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki, and in forgotten oral traditions from Africa to the Americas, they are the first ones. How did civilizations separated by oceans and millennia tell the same story? Archaeologists call it coincidence, but perhaps it is something more, an ancient memory buried in the collective human mind. Some sites, like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, seem to support the idea. Stone temples built over 1,200 years ago, far older than the pyramids, with carvings of animals, stars, and beings that don't resemble humans. Who built them? And why bury them deliberately? It is as if an ancient civilization didn't vanish by accident but chose to hide itself. Section C. The silent architects. Imagine standing in front of a cave wall, torchlight flickering. You see the painted hands of someone who lived 4,000 years ago, their mark still there, pressed in ochre and ash. They left no name, no voice, but somehow, their art speaks louder than any word could. Those ancient artists were not primitive. Their sense of design, their understanding of movement, of form, it is as if they remembered something, a visual language passed from a world before theirs. When you look closely at some of these cave drawings, the spirals, the suns, the tall figures, you realize they resemble patterns found in far later cultures: Vedic mandalas, Sumerian seals, Egyptian carvings, separated by oceans, yet united by symbols. Coincidence or memory? It is as though humanity's first artists weren't inventing art, they were recalling it. Section 1. The long sleep of history. Every great civilization begins and ends with a silence. Long before Mesopotamia, Egypt, or the Indus Valley, there might have been entire worlds lost beneath the waves or buried under continents, places we now only glimpse through myth. Atlantis, Kumari Kingdom, Lemuria. Modern science calls them stories. But what if those myths are the last memories of humanity's first great cities, built not with technology as we know it, but with the harmony between nature and spirit that we've since forgotten? Even today, divers off the coast of Japan and India find underwater ruins, massive stones shaped like temples, with steps, pillars, and paths that match no known culture. Some date back long years when much of the world was still under ice, so the question remains, who built them? And how did they know so much about the stars, the oceans, and the rhythms of the earth, when we were still supposed to be hunter-gatherers? Soft music shifts, hopeful, yet mysterious. Narrator reflective. Maybe the truth isn't that humans evolved from nothing. Maybe we remembered something. Something ancient, passed through time like a dream we keep trying to recall. Every fossil, every ruin, every whisper from the past, it is a reminder, we are not the first to ask these questions, we were just the first to rediscover them. Pause, and perhaps, just perhaps, that is why archaeologists are so cautious with what they reveal. Because once you uncover the full story, it changes everything we know about what it means to be human. Narrator soft close. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the evidence that shouldn't exist, in the discoveries that rewrite human history, and the secrets some say were never meant to be found, the forbidden discoveries, evidence that shouldn't exist. Soft opening music, a slow, heartbeat-like rhythm. The image of a vast desert fades in, dust swirls, the voice of the narrator returns, calm, reflective. Narrator, some discoveries are too strange to explain, too ancient, too advanced, too out of place. And when those discoveries appear, history goes silent, because sometimes, the truth doesn't fit the timeline we've been taught to believe. What if there are clues, real, physical evidence, that prove human civilization is far older, far more complex, and far more mysterious than anyone dares to admit? This is the story of forbidden archaeology, the discoveries that should not exist, but do. Section E. The objects that defy time. Let us begin in South Africa. In a mine near Klerksdorp, geologists unearthed dozens of small, perfectly spherical metal objects, each with 3 fine parallel grooves running around its equator. They were found inside layers of pyrophyllite rock dated to almost 4 billion years old. How could something so perfectly shaped exist before even the first multicellular life? Were they natural formations, or evidence of a forgotten intelligence that predated all known history? Mainstream science says coincidence, but many researchers quietly disagree. The precision, the uniformity, it is unlike anything nature creates on its own, and this is just the beginning. In Yi Ba Ba Jiu, A coal miner in Illinois discovered an iron cup embedded inside a block of coal estimated to be over 7 million years old. How does a crafted object end up inside a material that predates humanity by hundreds of millions of years? No official explanation exists. The cup was quietly archived and never spoken of again. The same story repeats worldwide. Tools, nails, and even carvings found deep within solid rock, objects that rewrite human history if only they were accepted as real. Why are they so quickly dismissed? Because they don't fit the narrative, and in archaeology, the timeline is sacred. Section I. The ruins that shouldn't be there now. Let us travel to Pumapunku, Bolivia, high in the Andes. Here lie colossal stone blocks carved with mathematical precision, cut so perfectly that even a razor blade can slip between them. Some weigh over 100 tons. The mystery? They were shaped from andesite, one of the hardest stones on Earth, with no evidence of advanced tools or technology. Even with modern equipment, carving and moving these blocks would be nearly impossible, and yet, these stones are thousands of years old. The precision suggests machining, the symmetry suggests design, but according to the history books, the builders had only stone tools and ropes. So how did they do it? Some say aliens, others, more grounded but no less fascinating, believe the answer lies in forgotten knowledge. Maybe the people of that age had discovered techniques, frequencies, or materials that we no longer understand. A technology of resonance, not machines. Section C. The hidden map of the ancient world. In 1929, a strange discovery was made in Istanbul. A fragment of a map drawn on gazelle skin, created by the Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis. It depicted the coasts of South America, Africa, and Antarctica, without ice. The catch? Antarctica was only discovered in modern times, and the last time its coastline was ice-free was over 2,000 years ago. How could a 16th century map show such precise details unless it was copied from a far older source? Even the U.S. Air Force in the 1960s confirmed the map's accuracy. The coordinates matched real coastlines hidden under glaciers. The implication is staggering. Some ancient civilization knew the world's geography in ways we only rediscovered with satellites. But who were they, and what happened to them? Section C. Buried cities and lost evidence in India. Beneath the waters of the Gulf of Cambay, sonar scans revealed something extraordinary. Massive stone structures, roads, and geometric layouts stretching for kilometers. Carbon dating of recovered artifacts showed an age of 2500 years, older than Mesopotamia, older than Egypt. If this is true, it means the world's first city wasn't in Mesopotamia. It was in India, thousands of years before the dawn of known civilization. Yet, the discovery received little attention. Some scientists called it a natural formation. But the shapes are too deliberate, too human. Why hide something so groundbreaking? Because rewriting history means rewriting everything: our books, our timelines, our understanding of who we are. Section were the fossils that speak. In 1928, researchers exploring the mountains of Russia discovered a fossilized structure resembling a microscopic gear. When analyzed, it showed properties of titanium, a metal that doesn't occur naturally in that form. Its age? 7 million years. Elsewhere, near the Paluxy River in Texas, fossilized human footprints appear beside dinosaur tracks, embedded in the same stone layer. Impossible, by modern chronology, yet the prints are there, perfectly shaped, perfectly human. Scientists argue endlessly. Some say they were hoaxes, others say misinterpretations, but the question remains: why do so many impossible discoveries emerge and then disappear into silence? Section Lu. The archaeologists who spoke too much. There is a pattern, and it is one historians rarely admit. When archaeologists find something that doesn't fit, they face pressure. From institutions, from sponsors, from history itself. In the 1990s, Dr. Virginia Steen McIntyre, an American geologist, studied artifacts in Mexico that appeared to be 25 years old, far older than accepted human presence in the Americas. When she published her results, she was dismissed, ridiculed, and her career nearly ended. Her crime? Telling the truth that didn't fit the model. Many similar stories exist: discoveries quietly retracted, reports withdrawn, dig sites closed for review, Could it be that archaeology isn't just about truth, but control? Control of what we are allowed to know about our own past. Section Chi: The patterns in the silence. If you map these forbidden discoveries from South Africa to Bolivia, from India to Russia, they form strange patterns. Many align along ancient shorelines or fault lines at the same places where early myths say gods once descended, or where ancient temples were built. Coincidence? Maybe. But the same coincidences appear again and again. Some ancient ruins even seem to form a global network, aligned with stars like Orion, Sirius, and the Pleiades. Why would prehistoric people build monuments aligned with distant constellations, unless they had knowledge of the heavens far beyond their time? And why do so many of these sites, from Egypt to Angkor Wat, align perfectly with each other, across continents? The earth remembers even when we don't. Section Bond: The whisper of suppressed truth. Sometimes, knowledge isn't lost, it's hidden. In ancient texts, the Vedas, the Book of Enoch, the Mayan Popolvuh, we find references to gods who brought wisdom, stars that taught humanity, and cycles of destruction followed by rebirth. The Vedas speak of the yugas, great ages of rise and fall, millions of years long. Perhaps the ruins we find are not the first human civilization, but the latest. And when the last great catastrophe struck, maybe around 1,200 years ago, it erased almost everything, except memory, except myth, except us. Narrator: soft tone. What if every myth of flood, fire, or falling stars is a record of the same event remembered by different peoples across time? And what if those who survived tried to preserve their knowledge, hidden in symbols, architecture, and sacred texts, waiting for us to remember again? Maybe that's why some discoveries are called forbidden, because they remind us of who we used to be. Pause, soft background hum. In the next chapter, we'll explore the other side of this mystery, not the ruins or the fossils, but the memories themselves. The ancient texts, the Vedas, and the echoes of the Apanayara, which may hold the key to what the first humans truly were, and what they remembered from the world before time, the lost knowledge of the first humans, myths, Vedas, and the memory of the gods. Soft ambient tones, the sound of waves and wind. A warm voice enters, calm, almost whispering. Narrator: history tells us we are the sum of evolution and survival, creatures of chance, molded by time. But the oldest memories of humanity say something very different. They say we were taught, guided, awakened, that once, long ago, the first humans walked with beings who came from the stars, from the sea, or from the heavens themselves, and what they left behind still lives within us today. Section E: when myths remember. All around the world, ancient stories share one strange pattern, from the Vedas of India, to the Sumerian tablets, to the myths of the Apanayara. Each describes a time before history when knowledge was given, not invented. The Rig Veda speaks of beings of light who brought the wisdom of the cosmos, the laws of mathematics, astronomy, and language itself. In the Popolvuh, the gods gathered clay and spoke the world into being. The Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki, who descended from the sky and taught early humans how to build, farm, and measure the heavens. Even the Apanayara, the lesser-known ancient scrolls of Southeast Asia, tell of the sky teachers, who gave humanity the 7 tones of creation, said to be both sound and light. These stories come from different continents, different ages, yet they sound like chapters of the same forgotten book. Could myth be memory? Could our legends be the faint echoes of real encounters or memories of a lost civilization so advanced that ancient people could only describe them as gods? Section R: the language of the gods. When we study the oldest languages, Sanskrit, Sumerian, Egyptian, something stands out. They ray not primitive, they ray structured, rhythmic, and mathematical. The Vedas, written thousands of years ago, describe the movement of planets, the speed of light, and even the idea that sound creates form, all long before modern science confirmed these ideas. How could a civilization with no telescopes, no electricity, and no machines have known this? The Apanayara tablets speak of the speech of the dawn, a resonance that shaped the material world, what modern physics might call vibration or frequency, and the Aitareya Upanishad goes further. In the beginning was the Word, and through that Word, all became. This ancient belief, that sound, thought, and vibration create reality, is echoed in countless cultures. The Egyptians called it Heka, the creative word, the Greeks called it logos, and in modern physics, we call it wave resonance, different names, same truth. Maybe, just maybe, the language of the gods was not speech at all, but energy, vibration, and intention. Section Psi Knowledge from the Sky. Ancient India tells of the Vimanas, flying crafts of the gods, capable of traveling between worlds. The Samarangana Sutradhara, an ancient Sanskrit text, describes machines made of metal, powered by fire and mercury, controlled by human thought, thousands of years before the first airplane. The text speaks of chariots that move in the sky, shining like the sun. Myth, maybe, but some scholars have found strange ruins in India, magnetic stone circles, scorched earth, and radioactive traces, as if something powerful once fell from the sky. The Mahabharata even describes a weapon so devastating that it turned cities to ash and made the birds fall dead from the air. Modern readers recognize it instantly, a description eerily close to a nuclear explosion. Could these texts be metaphors, or are they memories of a prehistoric age, an age of technology and wisdom long before our own? If so, then the gods of the ancient world may not have been divine at all. They might have been the last survivors of a forgotten world, one that vanished in a cataclysm, leaving only myths behind. Section C. The Fall of the First Age. Nearly every culture speaks of a great flood, a time when the earth was cleansed, and civilization began anew. In the Vedas, it was Manu who survived the flood, guided by a divine fish. In summer, it was Sudra, later known as Noah. In the Apanayara, it was Rishka, who sailed a light vessel into the clouds while the world burned below. These aren't coincidences, they ray memories of the same event, around 1,200 years ago. As modern science confirms, a cataclysm struck the earth, the end of the Ice Age, massive flooding, and the sudden extinction of species. Humanity nearly vanished, but a few survived, and those survivors carried something more valuable than tools or weapons. They carried knowledge, the memory of the stars, the geometry of temples, the understanding of the spirit and the atom alike, and when they emerged into the new world, they became the teachers, the sages, the gods of legend. Section W. The architecture of memory. All across the world, these survivors built the same shapes: pyramids, circles, aligned stones, and sacred mountains. Why? Because geometry is the language of memory. In the Vedas, the shape of the temple represents the human body and the universe combined. In Egypt, the pyramid mirrored the rays of the sun. In the Apanayara texts, circular shrines symbolized the eternal cycle of creation, a birth, decay, and rebirth. They didn't just build monuments, they encoded knowledge. Mathematics, astronomy, music, and even consciousness itself, hidden in stone and song. When we walk among these ruins today, Stonehenge, Angkor Wat, Teotihuacan, or the pyramids, we ray not just seeing architecture, we ray seeing the library of the first humans, a knowledge so vast that we ray only beginning to understand it again. Section Lu. The science behind the myth. Modern research is beginning to confirm what ancient texts always claimed, that matter and consciousness are deeply connected. Quantum physics now shows that observation affects reality, energy responds to thought, sound shapes mattered, just as the ancients said the word creates the world. Could it be that the first humans understood this connection, not through machines, but through mind? The Vedas describe yogic practices capable of levitation, telepathy, even altering time perception. What if these weren't miracles, but sciences we've forgotten how to use? The Apanayara scrolls mention the inner sun, a light within the heart that mirrors the energy of the cosmos. Modern neuroscience speaks of coherence, harmony between brain waves and heart rhythm. Different language, same truth. Science is finally catching up to what the ancients called wisdom. Section Qi. The memory of the gods. So who were the gods? Perhaps they were not divine in the sense we imagine, but enlightened humans who remembered what the rest of humanity had forgotten. Their knowledge made them seem supernatural, their technology made them seem immortal. But over time, even they faded, their temples turned to dust, their stories became myths, and we, their descendants, began again, rebuilding civilization from fragments of their memory. And maybe that's why, deep within us, we still look up at the stars with longing because we've been there before, not physically, but in spirit, in knowledge, in memory. Section are remembering who we are. Narrator soft, contemplative. What if the purpose of history isn't to look back, but to remember forward? To remember what we were and what we can be again? Every ancient myth, every buried ruin, every forbidden discovery whispers the same truth. Humanity's story is far older, far greater, and far more mysterious than we dare to believe. We are not accidents of evolution. We are survivors of eternity. And somewhere in our DNA, in the rhythm of our hearts and the dreams that guide us, the memory of the first humans still lives. Pause a soft swell of music so the next time you look at the stars, ask yourself, what if they ray not distant at all? What if they ray reminders, reflections of the worlds we've already known, and might one day return to? Gentle music fades out, warm and haunting narrator closing. Thank you for joining this journey through time, mystery, and memory. If you believe humanity's past deserves to be remembered, not rewritten, like, share, and subscribe, because the story of the first humans is the story of us all. Fade to black, soft echoes of ancient chanting fade in the distance. The lost knowledge of the first humans, myths, Vedas, and the memory of the gods' ambient sound fades into a soft, ancient hum, a wind whispering through stone temples, waves brushing against forgotten shores. Narrator calm, nostalgic tone perhaps. We've always known the truth, buried not beneath the earth, but within us. When we look at the stars, when we dream of the past, or feel that strange pull towards something ancient, we ray remembering a world before the world, when humanity was new, but not naive, when we understood the sacred rhythm of the universe, not through technology, but through connection. Maybe that's what the Vedas tried to tell us. Maybe that's what the myths were trying to preserve, not superstition, but memory, the memory of a time when humans were closer to the source, when knowledge wasn't written in books, but sung in light and wind and fire. Today, archaeologists and historians chase fragments, bones, tools, ruins, but the full story lives somewhere deeper, inside consciousness, inside every question that begins with who were we, really? Pause, the wind fades to silence. So as we end this journey through forgotten history, remember, every myth begins with truth, every silence hides a secret, and perhaps, the story of the first humans isn't finished. It's waiting for us to remember it. Soft orchestral outro builds narrator gentle call to action. If this story awakens something in you, help others discover it too. Like, share, and subscribe, not just for the next chapter, but for the next question, because sometimes, the greatest discoveries are the ones still buried in time. Fade out. End title card. The mind-blowing truth about the first humans, what archaeologists refuse to talk about.